Hello and welcome to another episode of the Let Me Think podcast. I am here with my friend and someone who I really respect, who inspires me, Pam Ferrara. She has a spiritual wellness business called the Good Vibe Sister Tribe. I'm going to hand it over to her so she can talk more about it.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to have her here. We are going to talk about how to start a spiritual wellness business and how she did it.
Mm,
So, Pam, would
yeah.
you like to tell our listeners what you do, where you're located, how to get in touch with you?
Yes. Well, first off, yeah, hi, I'm Pam, and thank you, Emily, for having me. I think that you are so wonderful, and I like always tell people I have two Instagram like best friends. And not that you and I talk all the time, but I just consider you like such a friend. I have one who lives around Michigan who I've actually met in person because she lives in like the Metro Detroit area, and then you. And so I
Yeah.
just adore you. So thank you for having me.
I just
Um,
adore you too. Yeah, the first time we ever talked with you, invited me to be live with you on Instagram and talk about Ayurveda. I
mhm,
still remember that. But we haven't met in person and that will happen. But anyway,
mhm.
so
I'm like
what is it that
fully
you
confident.
do?
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so we now call it GVST Wellness. So Good Vibes Sister Tribe was when I started and back in April 2021. But as we have grown and now we have stuff for men and children, we've changed it to GVST Wellness. We're located in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. So we're just outside Detroit. So we're in the Metro Detroit area. And we are a full body wellness center. So we say we deal with physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual wellness. And then our little catchphrase has been we're like a spiritual YMCA because we have step aerobics, we have Zumba, we have yoga, and we have a therapist, and we have a tarot reader, and we have group therapy, and we have astrology classes, but we also have a book club.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's such a community.
Yes, yeah, that's what we're trying to make. I'm trying to make. And then the people, 99% of the people who are attracted to the community are just that like forward community thinking or that collaboration over competition thinking.
Hmm.
The collaboration is what matters.
Yeah. I that does kind of bring me back to it's just in my memory to something you once said to me about like a competing yoga studio that was like in the same town.
Mm,
Remember, I was doing something on your website. I worked on your website, and anyway,
yeah,
I wonder like if we can start with that point. How do you conduct your business, and how have you developed over the years? Because we all know starting out is a struggle, and you're amazing, and it's working great for you, but it was probably hard in the beginning. And how do you kind of, like you just said, collaboration over competition? How did you approach that when like in business there are competitors, and how
yeah,
did you kind of overcome that struggle, or you want to describe what it was like?
yeah. So I think that collaborating actually will boost you because when you and another business, even if they're similar, support each other, you're just going to have one, a higher vibe because you're not like a jealousy or competition or, any of that stuff. And two, like there's two other yoga studios in St. Clair Shores. One doesn't talk to us at all. That's the one. And but I reach out every now and then and I'll be like, hey, we're doing this event. And they don't ever ignore me, but they're always just like, no thanks. The other
Yeah.
one is like we're in like the south part of St. Clair Shores and they're in the north part, the third one. And she was like, Pam, do you guys do chair yoga? And I was like, yeah, we Monday nights actually. She's like, I don't. So I'll refer people to you if they want chair yoga. Like,
Hmm.
how nice is that? And then like, if there's something that I can't do and she can, I'll shoot her a message. Or I have people who do workshops with me who also do workshops with her. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just, yeah. So then that way our workshop people are like, so say they do a workshop at her yoga studio and they get a few regulars, maybe someone took that workshop and they liked it so much that when they do it at ours or a different workshop with us, they come down to us. So it's just like working together even though the knee jerk or standard American lifestyle reaction is like,
Capitalistic, yeah.
yeah, like competition,
Hmm.
bad. No, it's like so wonderful. And
And I feel like that's aligning with spiritual principles of like
yeah,
when you stop struggling and when like there's always enough. The universe has enough abundance for all of us. And if like if I help this person, it's helping the collective. I do the same
yes.
thing in my business if because I don't do, for instance, past life regressions. I can't do everything. And I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever will, and I'm not an astrologer. So like if one of my clients asks me that, I'll honestly say, I think I do know someone who can do that. Here's a referral. And I just send it off into the universe. And I don't expect anything in return. But
Mhm.
it's so great when you find someone in the community that is willing to kind of like have that reciprocal relationship. I'm sure you guys like collaborate on your events too. You have a conference or what do you call it? A convention.
No,
What is
yeah,
that called?
conference. You're right. I mean, convention maybe one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have the last September, we had the first ever Rise and Shine Holistic and Wellness Conference. So we had 16 breakout workshops for people who buy tickets. So you might like look at the schedule and say, oh, at noon, there's 4 different workshops and you could pick which one to go to. And I
Yeah.
just thought it was important to have all different kinds of things. So we had like Kundalini yoga to astrology to pelvic floor therapy to essential oils. But I'm working on that now. I haven't secured a location, but I'm looking around. But in the summer, we're doing 100-person summer solstice drum circle
Oh my
in
gosh,
St.
that's
Clair Shores.
amazing.
It's going to be, I've never been to a drum circle. Isn't that how, I don't know how, but I've done like journeying drumming, like a
Yeah,
meditation journey. But yeah, somehow I've never been to like a massive drum circle. So I'm so excited. It's going to be so
that's
good.
so cool. That sounds amazing. So yeah, do you when you have events like that, do you kind of like go outside, even the people who are usually involved at GVST Wellness? I'm sorry, I
Mhm.
always want to say GSVT for some reason. Do you go
Long list.
outside that community to like other businesses around and collaborate, even in Detroit maybe, and like invite them in?
Yeah, so I'm super open to anyone. I feel like, again, 99% of the time, the right people come. And I am 3 years into the business, 1 year into the current location we're at now. And I don't really feel like at this point I have to go out and get people because people are
Hmm.
constantly coming or being referred to me, or it's like so beautiful.
That
And
is
now
beautiful.
I
Hmm.
have to practice being, yeah, like high vibe or spiritual, but also I meet people now who sometimes don't align with that. So
Hmm.
navigating that has, been a whole lesson in
Yeah.
itself.
That was going to be
Um,
my next question is like
yeah,
aligning with your values spiritually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like over the last few years, I've been really honing. I think that again, standard American lifestyle after years, I have been honing my listening skills with that voice. And I know like, within like the second time meeting someone, how it's going to go. Like I know it inside, but logically I'll think, oh, they didn't do anything. There's no reason to think that. And then
Hmm.
say I give them a chance. And again, this is like the 1%, excuse me, um, where, yeah, they don't have like the right work ethic or they don't like, it's just not the right fit. And
Not a
yeah, again,
match. Yeah.
it's the
It's
1%,
like
but
dating.
yes. Oh my God. Yes, it is. So I have like, oh my gosh. So on a normal month, I probably have 20 people doing things here between our weekly classes and our workshops. So to keep everyone, I feel like I'm a mother of 20, honestly,
Yeah,
because I'm
and we're
trying to
talking
keep,
instructors, just for everybody
yes,
listening.
yes, yep.
You have way
And
more than 20 attendees of these classes,
yes,
workshops.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And that's a lot of different personalities to navigate, I'm sure.
yes. So then like before I started GVST, I was actually a stay-at-home mom. And before that, I worked in this hospital system doing scheduling. I had I'm a Sagittarius, so I had, I don't know, 25 jobs by the time I was 25. Like I like different things. Yeah, I'd get bored and move on. But all those things helped hone me and kind of put me exactly where I needed to be. But I didn't realize that I was really good. I feel like I'm good at handling people in the way they need to be handled. Like I know, like maybe this person's a little more sensitive, and I'll handle them with kitten gloves, like if I need to. Or this person needs me to be more direct, so I can be more direct with them.
Mm,
And um,
that's a talent. That's a
but
skill.
still being authentic to myself in all these ways. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a lot.
And like, and no, but that's so hard to balance. And I feel just, from my own experience and my suspicions that like the greater world doesn't, all the companies in the world don't base their business practices on what you just described, like making sure, like sometimes when you're a spiritual business owner and you're living that lifestyle, you just say no to things that logically don't make sense or might make you a lot of money. You just know that's not a good fit. You just know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I want to get into? I do social media on the side. Like I went to film school, I do all of our social media, and I'll do social media on the side. And I just had a client who was more corporate world and I don't know, nitpicky. And it was hard to, like, I did not feel aligned there. And it's an easy job, and the money was totally fine. But I just was like, when their names would pop up on my phone, I'd be like, what is it now? So finding myself being like that, even though it was easy, even though the money was fine, I like quit. So I actually quit that recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it wasn't bringing me joy. And it's like, I have so
Mm-hmm.
many other things that can make me happy. Why am I spending any amount of brain power being like
Mm-hmm.
irritated by this or feeling, I don't know, like controlled? I felt like they were, I don't know, very
Yeah.
nitpicky. But
It wasn't meant for you.
no,
Yeah.
no.
But yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of people, not just business owners, people in their jobs. I mean, I also had corporate jobs in my life and stuff. I've also had 25 jobs in 25 years. I don't know, something like that. And I know that people stay in jobs because they're scared and they're like, I
Mhm,
need the money, I need the money. And to me, this might sound really weird, but I feel like if you are just making decisions based on that, and that's what you think of as a business decision, like that's going to make me the most money because that seems like what we're all after.
mhm.
You're actually becoming a slave to money. Is that weird? Because
Mm,
instead of like following your joy, and we know the universe will provide if we're doing what we're meant to be doing. And like I don't know about you, but on LinkedIn I have all these, I call them vultures. They're well-meaning people. They're these business coaches. You get that too? Like I help business
mhm,
owners, like spiritual business owners like you, get 10 times the monthly income or get 10 times the clients. Let me help you. And I sometimes I used to respond and I would say, no, thank you. The universe shows me what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know,
love
but
it.
of course they don't get it. And that's not the answer they want at all.
Yeah.
Because they think the more you try to control things and go hunting for what you want and force things,
Mhm,
then doing cold calls and trying to get more clients by some kind of like tactic, that's what works. But we
mhm.
know it's when you ease up and you let the universe bring you what's supposed to be for you. Like, do you
Mm.
agree with that? Has that worked for you?
So I have a hard time with that too, because I'm like, what can I do? What do I need to be doing? Like,
Yeah, we all have
whatever.
that side. Yeah.
Right. But in the times where I do sit back, I can like really see that. And man, talk about like over the last year, like the amount of times the universe has just provided, it's just so beautiful. Like
Hmm.
to know, like I feel confident in that, knowing that it'll always be okay. I'll always
Yes.
have what I need. But then, yeah, there's like this other like business mind that's like, oh, but I need to go do this and this would be a good opportunity. Or yeah. So it's like having to listen to two different parts. I like will joke and I'll say, like Pam, the person is
Mhm.
like, I would pay the people who work with me like everything. Like you showed up and people canceled, like, oh my gosh, I'll just pay you for them, you know.
Yeah.
But like business Pam is like, no, our
Mm.
agreement is that they get paid for who shows
Mm.
up, and if you do that once, you're kind of you're breaking your own boundary.
Mm.
And
Let's talk
but like,
about that more. Because
yeah,
I
so
struggle with
normal,
that too. Hmm.
yes. So normal Pam, I just want to be
So
so into all my people and like here, like, what can I do for
soul
you?
soul level Pam.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then I have to reel that in sometimes and stick to my like business
Yeah.
Pam boundaries
I have
of
that
like,
too.
yeah.
Like when
And
someone like a no show, I used to just say, "Oh, of course, like I'll just refund you or we'll just reschedule." But then I realized the more clients I got, someone else could have booked at that time, and it is hard. It is hard to put down your foot and draw a line in the sand and say,
mhm.
"No, that's my policy." It's
Yes,
hard.
it is. But you're worth it. Your time and money are worth it. So, or your time and your expertise, is worth that. So what I always go back to is, am I willing to do this again? Like last week we had a workshop that ended up having to get rescheduled. And so this was the rescheduled date. And then some of the original people couldn't make that date. And then day of, the people canceled. So it ended up being like no one, whatever. But there were people signed up, they just canceled day of. So when we got there, I was talking to the instructor. I really wanted to pay her. Like, I'm like, you
Hmm.
showed up, sucks those two people canceled an hour
Hmm.
ago. Um, but then I have to think, is this like, when you do something one time, that also sets a precedence.
Yes.
So is this something you're going to do more than once? Because if not, don't do it. And,
Or just do it once and say, not
but then I
again, or
don't
something
want,
like that. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't want her to be like, oh, then the next time it happens, she's like, oh, are you going to pay me for them?
Yeah.
And then it leads to an uncomfortable, well,
Yeah.
no, I only did it once because I felt bad. And so I
It's
just like,
hard. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I
no,
just,
I mean it's so hard because you want everybody to succeed, especially the people working with you.
oh
Why
my
not,
gosh,
right?
yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, there was something else in our conversation, and now well, maybe we'll come back. I'll come back to what I was going to
Yeah.
ask, but it's just, oh, yes, this is very important. So I'm sure there's people listening to this who are in the early stages of planning their business or doing their business, and you were there and I was there.
Mhm.
It's a struggle to start out. All of these considerations are very hard in the beginning. In fact, if you've come to the point where your problem is telling people that that's your policy for no shows or whatever, that means you're actually succeeding. And I celebrate that. I'm like, this is my new
Yes.
problem, is what happens when that happens. But
Right.
like, but what
Yes.
about going back to before that? How did you start out? Like, what advice do you have for people
Yeah.
when they just feel like they have no idea what they're doing? And there are people, because I do tarot readings, and some of my clients come to me with these business questions. Like, they don't they don't know how to conduct like a business in a spiritual manner, where like, because in their head they're like what we were just describing, just thinking, how am I going to make the most money, how am I going to get more clients, like
Mm.
freaking out about it a little bit. And I was there too. So what advice do you have for going back to like Pam from 3 years ago,
Mhm.
that you've
So
learned?
hard work, trial and error, and just get yourself out there. So starting with just get
Mhm.
yourself out there. When
Yeah.
you decide to do it, like you're already doing more than 80% of people. Like you are
Set the
getting out
intention.
there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, and following through, being consistent with what you want even if no one's showing up or booking, you know, like still going on Instagram, doing readings, still
Yeah.
showing up, even though you have no one signed up for a class. Like getting out there is you're already doing like the right thing. You're manifesting, you're putting the right intentions out there, you're showing up, you're being persistent. Um, and then about aligning, um, you know, spiritually, I think that's trial and error. Like when I hired this person and they were fantastic and, you know, they really aligned, and I don't even mean like align with every moral or every
Yeah.
whatever, but they aligned like energetically with me. It felt good. And then when I meet someone and they might not align, but I still gave them a chance and then it didn't work out, it's just like kind of trial and error. Like I already knew that, you know, I already felt that. And then about the hard work, you know, you're anyone. I mean, unless you just like hit a TikTok that you're skateboarding and drinking a cranberry, whatever, you know, something just pops off. Have you seen that one from like a year ago?
No, but I
I
know
think about
you
that guy
know
all the
all the
time.
best TikTok videos.
Yeah.
That's like
So
your
unless you like
superpower.
pop off
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
there is hard work. You have to get yourself
Yeah.
out there. You have to network. You have to like meet people. You have to continuously show up. And there are times where you're like, is this even working? Is this
Yeah.
even worth it?
Having
And you have
doubts.
to push through those times. Or again, like open yourself to the universe and be like, I am down. And is this even working? And then I feel like something will happen. You'll get like a nugget
Hmm.
of whatever it is, of hope or of no, you are doing the right thing, you know, like a
Yeah.
confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Persistence is really key. And but
Mhm.
it's also about in the face of doubt, showing the universe with your energy, I
Mhm.
know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And if you have a doubt that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you probably should reconsider. I mean, it is like a trial and error, like it's a balance, right? You
Yeah.
recalibrate. Like, am I
Yeah.
doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Maybe I should shift a little bit. But you know,
Mhm.
if you know, then you know. And maybe
Yeah.
no one recognizes that. There's a guy I follow on Instagram as well, the sunglasses kid. You know about him? He plays this like 80s music on a keyboard. He said he was doing it for years, posting videos because he just loved it. He played like 80s uh movie soundtrack style keyboard music. It's hilarious.
Cute. I'll have to
It's
go look.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
And he but he did it for years. He posted videos and then all of a sudden last year he was discovered and now he does like he opens for like famous like DJs and stuff at
Mm.
concerts.
That's
But and, and
amazing.
and I do believe like you hit a point where you do go viral or you do or maybe you won't even but if you just know if it's getting better and better, even if it's slowly, you're doing the right thing. And if you have only 10 people who think you're hilarious or you're doing something that's really
Mhm.
healing, then you're succeeding. You're
And
helping
if it
people.
and if it feeds your soul, like yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
important. So,
Yeah.
um, oh man, what was I gonna say?
Yeah. I'm having that too. Like, what was I just gonna say?
I know, because
But this is fascinating though. Yeah.
everything you were saying, I'm like, yes. Oh, so when I talk to social media, I talk about, you know, how often should I post, whatever. And the analogy I came up with a few months ago was when people go to look, and I don't mean this just for social media, I think this is business in general and
Yeah.
persistence. When people go and look at your social media and say you only have 10 posts, like think of your social media or your persistence like a wall. So if you only have 10 posts or some, you know, effort out there, it's like an incomplete wall. But if you are posting every day and you're building and you're trying, you're building a wall. And eventually people are going to say, like, oh, wow, that's like a complete business. Or, oh, wow, look at everything they've done.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I just think that sticking to it and pushing through those times of doubt is like so important. But those times of doubt almost like shoot you forward. I don't know, because
No, that's right.
you're like
You
more
you
interested. Yeah.
encounter resistance and you push off from it. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you give up when you encounter resistance, then that probably wasn't meant for you anyway. But if you know when you encounter resistance, nope, I am gonna do this and I'm gonna show
Yeah.
you, then you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to keep
Mm-mm.
going.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and now I'm blanking what I was gonna say, but this is all just, but it's like, and then going back to the original question, like what advice would you give for someone starting out? What if yeah, someone who it's oh, I know what I was gonna say. Like there's a lot of advice out there and structures that you think you're supposed to have when you're starting a business and certain practices. Like I have a good friend who was becoming a life coach, and she was advised by her coaches to just get the person on the call for 15 minutes and just like
Mm,
be annoying enough and persistent that you just get them on the call. And she didn't feel right about it. So
yeah.
in my opinion, I just say, you know what, maybe that works for you, but I'm not going to do it that way. What have you done things like that where someone specifically said that's not going to work for starting a wellness business?
Yeah.
Good luck, Pam. But
Yeah.
then you did it anyway and you showed them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Everything I've done.
Yeah.
So I don't have a business background. I have no business degree. I don't have a business loan. I literally started doing, we call them tribe meetings. They were yoga, meditation, and the sharing circle, women only, when we were the Good Vibe Sister Tribe. I started doing those once a month. And then from that, more people were kind of interested. So I did twice a month. And then I would meet someone who'd want to do a workshop. So I'd add that in. And then I was like, wow, I'm starting to like kind of grow. Like maybe I should start renting a room. And I rented a room at this place a few times a month. And it just kind of grew from there. And so I think that um like that doubting, you know, like I don't have that. So that when I talk blah 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 blah, when I talk about trial and error, I guess that's what I mean is,
Yeah.
I don't have these backgrounds. Like I wasn't ever trained in any of this. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have, $10,000 to get a storefront and a sign and
Mm-hmm.
spend all this money on marketing and, any of that stuff. So yeah, it looks like how is Pam even going to do that? Like, how is that even going to work out? And it just has worked out as like perfectly how it should work out. And again, lots of hard work on my part. I'm not just like, sitting and oh my God,
Yes.
Jim literally says all the time, my husband is Jim. He'll go wish in one hand and shit in the other, and which one fills up or whatever, which one fills up faster. And I'm
I'm
just
sure he's
like,
gonna love that that's the only quote in this whole podcast
oh,
episode from him.
he will like that.
Thanks, Jim.
But I'm
Anyway,
like, but
yeah.
both of those
Yeah.
things matter, like the wishing
Mm-hmm.
and the doing. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
to do both of those. Um, and then with like the coaching and stuff and the sales, I
Mm-hmm.
never considered I like have worked, I've had 25 jobs by 25 or whatever we said. So I was never good at sales. But when you're like embodying and you really believe in and you're passionate about this thing, it just is going to work better. I feel like I kind of feel the same way. Like, get me in front of anyone and let me talk about GVST, and they're going to be interested because I'm so
Mm-hmm.
and make them talk to me for 15 minutes. No. Or like if I can tell someone's not receptive, that's okay because I don't want to waste my time either. And I'll move on to someone who is. Um,
You're selling
and so
something that you actually believe in. Whereas, yeah, I was in sales at one point in my life as well. And I believed in it a little. I mean, I didn't
yeah,
completely not believe in it, but
right.
this I know is going to change people's lives. And I know that I'm not going to like cheat someone or like try to get just a little bit more money from them or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
speak honestly, and I know I'm going to be taken care of by the universe, but I am
Mhm.
here to help people. And when you come across that way, people see it.
Yeah.
You stand out. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing about the wellness and spirituality business is there are so many people who want to help and want to, as a collective, help humanity. And I just think that since the pandemic, people have been very not, like the opposite of community. People have been very alone or isolated. And that was a huge thing for me is bringing community back. And
Hmm.
Another like good business thing is, like look at a similar model, but do things like the way that I don't know, like you think they should be done. Like a YMCA is like a great model of a business, but what is it missing? And not that I thought this before, this is kind of just developed as we've gone on,
Yeah.
is like there's no spirituality. And that's part of being a
Mm.
human. There's no
Yeah.
mental or emotional health, like they might have an outing, they might have, a community event, but it doesn't necessarily address parts of being a human and
Mm.
parts of things that we need to address or heal or work on or just
Mm.
mention, like why is mental health and it's talked about so much more now, but like why was this so brushed aside for so long
Mm.
when
Love
it's
that. Yeah.
huge?
It's huge. And yeah, no, I love that. I think you're right about a lot of businesses like YMCA. It's missing that spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
Um, Last question before we go.
Ooh.
For uh anyone out there listening with a similar background, like a stay-at-home mom that wants to do something like this, start a business, or a single mom, or any,
Mhm.
I know you primarily work with or only work with some of your classes are open to men, right?
Yeah.
But
I
it's
mean,
like
but
geared
mostly
towards
women,
women.
yeah.
But you
Hmm.
started out as a woman, like a feminine community kind of
Yep.
thing. So what advice, and now you've met so many women like you, actually, I happen to know, who are also like moms who want to have this soulful business. So what have you learned along the way, and what advice can you give to anyone listening who is in that position?
Mm. Um, I think that moms can worry about this not being good for their kids. Like, but I'm going to be so busy, but I'm not going to be able to spend as much time with my kids. But I try to check in with my kids every now and then, and I'll say, like, we'll go around and I'll be like, what's your favorite thing about Cecilia? Or what's your favorite thing? But we'll go around the whole house. So, what's your favorite thing about mom? And the kids will literally say GVST. They're like so proud of me. They see what I'm doing.
I'm gonna
They like
cry.
it's so beautiful. They get to come here and play. I'll have like kids classes pretty much just for my kids, like
You're
and
inspiring them. You're showing
it's
them.
so like you have this mom guilt sometimes, but also like I'm showing them like look what your mom did, you can do that. And so I think that don't feel that mom guilt. Like know that you're trying to better your life, their life. And then, kids grow up so fast. And then what are you left with when they leave the house? Yourself. So I just also don't think that women should put themselves on a shelf during this time. You know, we need to focus on ourselves too. And like, what do we want out of life? Like, yeah, I'm going to be at every soccer game, but I also am a person too. Like, what do I want out of life? So I started this business and I am so fulfilled. Like, family wise, I'm fulfilled, career wise. Like, I just feel very like soul happy.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, not to say there aren't times, like, 'cause I'm a single mom myself, for people who don't know, but like there aren't, and not to say there aren't times that it isn't really hard. Because like I do a lot of client sessions on weekends when maybe other moms and parents are on outings with their kids, but that's when I do it. And but I don't, you don't have to be like everybody else. And I know that, yeah, we're showing our kids what's possible,
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah.
it'll all work out. You're
I
doing it out
mean,
of love. You can't go wrong if you're doing it
yes.
out of love. Yeah.
And moms understand. Like there are times where my husband's working and my mother-in-law can't watch the kids and I have to bring them up here and I'm like, "Okay guys, you stay in this room and try to be like semi-quiet." And they're not very happy about being quiet. But
Yeah.
that's life and that's what I had to deal with. People know I have 3 kids. And then that
Mhm.
like work-life balance, I'm still where I work on that all the time. And so, things can seem hard and they can seem stressful and they're hard in the moment, but the overall of you going for like what you're passionate about is good for you, is good for them.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So, for anyone who wants to like reach out to you, follow
Mhm.
you, there's so many ways to connect with Pam. Can you tell us all of them, or at least some of them?
Yes. So on Instagram and Facebook, GVST Wellness, and TikTok, GVST Wellness. So George Victor Sam Thomas, GVST. And I also have an Instagram called Pam's Random Reviews. So that's where Emily and I initially met. GVSTwellness.com, GVSTwellness at gmail.com. Send me an email, whatever, I appreciate it.
Awesome. And of course, if you're in the Detroit area, you should go see Pam in real
Mhm.
life.
We're in St. Clair Shores, and this is our second year of being nominated. There's a magazine called Our Detroit Magazine. So it's my third year of being nominated social media influencer, and it's
Wow.
my second year of being nominated for best, like I'm in like the top five or whatever, for best yoga studio, best fitness classes, best health club, and then our first year nominated for community organization.
Oh, and that's like the best one too. I think
Right.
that's that's what that's why people come to you, in my opinion,
And
is
what's
the
cool is
community. Hmm.
out of the five nominees in that category, two others are my friends. So I
Oh, I
just
love
feel like
that.
I
Oh, it's
like,
a
I mean,
win-win. Yeah.
yeah. And then, but like, look at the collaboration there. It's like, you know, we're all trying to make this thing great and better the world and our lives.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Pam, and thank everyone for listening to another episode of the Let Me Think podcast. And I will see and hear you next time.
Nice. Thanks,
Bye.
Emily. Bye.